Hi, this is Steph with Belladonna Dyes, and today we're going to make an orange-backed spiral. Decide where you want the center of your spiral to be, give it a little pinch, and then spiral it up. I'm using this microwave lid, and it makes terrific spirals. I do have a link for it down below in the description box, along with everything else that I use for tie-dye, so go ahead and check that out. I really do love this lid, you guys. I know it's kind of like cheating when I make my spirals, but heck, I can do them in half the time and I feel like I get much better results. Once you have it all spiraled up the way that you like it, it's time to secure it. I prefer to secure my spirals with rubber bands, but you could also use kite string or even sinew if you like. Sinew leaves the white lines. I just feel that rubber bands are just quick and easy. And these are my rubber bands that I love, but these are the stretched out rubber bands that got extra large during the sunny time where I added heat, and they worked perfectly for the spiral because the spiral was quite large. As I'm securing the spiral, you'll notice me pulling the tails around. I want to make a nice tight spiral. I don't want to have a bunch of loose tags sticking out. They just sort of die weird. So just work it around. And I also try to have my rubber bands intersect in the center of the spiral. Now, you don't have to do that. It doesn't matter where the rubber bands are. It's all about die placement. But I feel that if I intersect the rubber bands in the center of the spiral and I make pie pieces, it just helps me add the dye in the proper amount. Using a washable marker, I mark out my pattern. This is not a necessary step, but the way my brain works, this really helps me also know where I want to place my dye. Now it's time for the fun part. We get to add the dye. And it has been discussed where I was going to try to add my yellow last, but this was recorded before we had that discussion. So what I'm doing here is I'm starting with my primary colors and I'm working them down to the center of the spiral. The reason why I do that is because when they meet in the center, they're going to make the pretty secondary colors instead of brown, at least in theory. For this particular project, I was using up the last of my thickened orange dye. That's why I decided I would go ahead and orange back this particular spiral, because I thought thickened dye would be a perfect experiment. So this is thickened dye, and I do have a tutorial on how to make thickened dye, so go ahead and check that out. Like I said, this is thickened orange, and I'm just trying to use it up. When adding a colored back to your project, you want to move somewhat quickly because you don't want to oversaturate, but you want to get a nice layer on top. And since this is thickened dye, it shouldn't over penetrate. If you're going to use regular dye, you might not want to add quite as much as I'm adding right here. Clean off your rack so you don't have a bunch of dark dye on your back. Flip the shirt over so that your colors are on top, and then batch it for at least 24 hours. It's been 24 hours and now it's time for the rinse out. You want to start by using cold water, and that's going to rinse away any soda ash that might still be reacting within the fabric, and then gradually increase your water to hot and rinse until the water runs pretty much clear. From here I take it to the washing machine and I do a hot water cycle. I do a second hot water cycle using Synthropol, which is now called Kirillon if you're trying to purchase it. And then I do a third hot water cycle using Millsoft to bring softness back to the fabric after the dyeing process. Then I put it in the dryer and we'll come back and we'll see the results. Well, here it is, guys. Here's our shirt after it's been washed and dried. I love this shirt. I really do enjoy these different colored backs. The last one I did was with Bluebird, and I thought it turned out beautiful, and now this time with the orange. And I want to point out that we always talk a lot about making brown. Well, if you look at the orange that's in the blue, yeah, it's not so vibrant, but it certainly isn't brown. It doesn't look horrible. I think this shirt looks amazing. So what do you guys think of this shirt? Please leave me some comments down below. And I also want to point out, because I don't think I've mentioned it before, down in the description box I do have links to my social media, and I would love to see what you guys are making. If you watch a tutorial and then you go and try it, I want to see what you guys are doing. I have a Facebook group. I also have a Belladonna Facebook page, but I have a Facebook group, and if you guys go in, post your stuff. I think on Belladonna you have to find the actual post that I did and then leave it down in a comment. But I want to see what you guys are doing. I want to have participation with you. So leave me some comments in my Facebook. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a thumbs up and click the bell and set it to all for future uploads. And remember, have fun tie-dyeing.